Salem's Lot was a novel by popular author Stephen King. It came out in 1975 and was his second novel. It's about a man returning to the small town he grew up in to write a book about a creepy old house he had a bad experience in as a child. At the same time, an ancient Nosferatu named Barlow arrives and terrorizes the town. In a lot of ways, Salem's Lot is based on Dracula, the novel by Bram Stoker. Stephen King wondered what it would be like if Dracula appeared in modern times. His wife told him, well, he'd probably get hit by a cab within minutes. I kind of wonder if Tabitha King saw Blackula, because that happened to Mama Walde in that movie. Anyway, King kept with the idea, but used a rural setting in this hometown of Maine. Interestingly enough, his first novel, Carrie, employed a writing style very similar to that of Dracula, though not nearly as refined. Anyway, though it is a contemporary tale, it does share a lot of parallels with Dracula. Just imagine Barlow as Count Dracula, Straker as Renfield, Susan as Mina, Ben as Harker, and Professor Burke as Van Helsing. In 1979, Salem's Lot was adapted into a television series, not the last time this would happen with King's work. Later on, the miniseries was re-edited into a film format for release on home video. Though the film changes some major things from the book, it actually is fairly faithful to the plot, characters, and tone of the original novel. The biggest change, the one everybody talks about, is what the vampire, Kurt Barlow, looks and acts like. In the novel, he looked like anybody else, and he was an intelligent, shrewd villain, if a bit prone to arrogance. In the film, he's bestial and mute. He actually looks quite a lot like the version of Count Dracula, or Count Orlok, in 1922's Nosferatu, except with blue skin. He doesn't speak. He's more like an animal than anything, though the secondary vampires he creates are more like people, and they can talk. In one very important scene in the film, the confrontation between Father Callahan and Barlow, Straker appears out of nowhere to deliver the lines of dialogue Barlow would have had. Many fans of the novel have complained about the changes to Barlow, but it did serve a purpose. It made him absolutely terrifying, and this is a pretty good thing for a TV movie. You also don't see him too often, so when he does show up, it's something special. Other than this, the film is remarkably like the novel, and has some great direction from Tobe Hooper, who had previously directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and would go on to direct Poltergeist. The man knows scary. Some of the characters from the novel are omitted or combined into each other, but this is mostly because Stephen King's books have a shitload of characters sometimes. He just loves ensemble casts. For the longest time, King fans have derided the Salem's Lot film, claiming it didn't do justice to the novel and that the Blue Barlow was absolutely ridiculous. King himself has said it has some flaws, but he's defended it as a decent film, and I gotta agree with him. It even got a sequel, A Return to Salem's Lot, though that had nothing to do with anything and isn't based in any way on Dracula, so I won't comment on it. In 2004, the film got remade, again on television, this time with a much bigger budget and some star power from Rob Lowe, who had previously appeared in another King TV miniseries, The Stand. Barlow was more like in the book, and he was played by Rutger Hauer, who would also wind up playing a version of Dracula the next year in Dracula 3 Legacy. Though I looked forward to the 2004 remake, as Salem's Lot is one of my very favorite books, well, it was fucking assy as fuck. The original novel and the 1979 film have a very subtle undertone of social and political commentary. But the 2004 version just goes overboard with it. Ben, the main character, was no longer a novelist, but instead he was a liberal journalist who had just gotten back from Afghanistan. There's this whole subplot about how he got captured by terrorists and then reported the soldiers that rescued him for being abusive toward the terrorists. I swear I'm not making this up. The fans finally got the Barlow they wanted, but the rest of the film is absolutely awful. They tried so hard to update the feel of it from a 70s sensibility to a 2004 sensibility, and it comes off as cheap pandering. They throw references out left and right to current events and media trends in a really unnatural way. I liked Rob Lowe in The Stand, but he's absolutely awful here. He made the character of Ben Mears into an unlikable, arrogant prick. I also usually enjoy the work of James Cromwell, but he's wasted as Father Callahan. The liberties taken with the story attempt to make the scenes more shocking, bloody, and contemporary. The entire film just lost all the subtlety that made the book and original film so good. Suddenly, the 1979 version and its blue vampire seems pretty good. I hope that one day Salem's Lot finds its way onto the big screen, but for now, I just recommend you hunt down the 1979 version. It's pretty steeped in 70s culture, but it's a great fright fest that pays homage not only to the classic Dracula novel, but some of the classic Dracula films from the past. I give that a 7 out of a possible 10, and I give the remake a 1 out of a possible 10. It really was that bad.